Chamorro makes up the largest ethnic background in our 2005 homeless stats, coming in at over 43%, followed by Chuukese at nearly 17%, Filipino at about 11%, and Caucasian at 7%. Once again, we are talking with the Salvation Army representatives Simeon Keeling and Gail Hargreaves about their undertaking of this year's homeless count. Again, thank you very much for coming in. Now, I was actually shocked when I saw that Chamorro came out at #1 of our homeless here on Guam. I always thought that in the Chamorro way, families always pull together in the time of need. So is there the factor of perhaps some of our Chamorros are maybe embarrassed to ask families for help, or what are some of the contributing factors that make Chamorro the #1, or is it just because we're on Guam?
I would like to mention that we're not the experts, but from the things that we've seen is things like the family breakdown in the Chamorro culture, and of course there are more Chamorros on Guam, and I think a lot of because of the when you turn 18, you consider in the Western world that you're an adult. It's time for you to move out and start your own life. And I think because of the Western influence, I think, and also the assistance, a lot of times the families who feel like, hey, you reach that age, it's time for you maybe go to Kura because they can provide you housing. And at the same time, a lot of families that are also want to go on their own, learning the different assistance they can get. So that's one of the reasons. Once they get out there, certain times because of the federal guidelines, they forget to follow up with an interview or turn in certain documents. They lose those benefits, and then they end up being homeless.
That was my next question. Yes. I always thought that there should be no excuse for people being homeless because, after all, we have all these government agencies that are there to react to whatever their needs are. But that's a good point that you make. Any other? Would you like to add to that?
Well, I know that just in general, to look at economy-wise as well, just an overview of all of the families on Guam. As time goes on and prices get higher, they might want to assist an aunt or uncle or grandparent or mother or father, but themselves are struggling just to be able to pay their monthly bills. And so that we see as a contributing factor as well, just the lack of funds to be able to have extra to help out a family member in need.
Now, back in 1995, when I first moved back to Guam, I actually encountered a couple of homeless Caucasian males who actually leveled with me, saying that the government of Hawaii had actually purchased a one-way ticket for them to come from to fly from Hawaii to Guam to basically get rid of them, get them off the streets. And is that still happening? Have you interviewed anyone in recent times that has stated that, a government has sent them here, or a state has sent them here because...
I haven't heard about that in Guam, but I've heard of it in Hawaii, where the mainland, sometimes they go to court and the judge will provide them a one-way ticket to Hawaii.
I think that's terrible. They don't react to that. Anyways, in closing, is there anything I didn't ask that you want to stress at this time, Simeon?
I just want to thank, because we're also asking the governor's office for their assistance in terms of vehicles and drivers. It would be great if they assist us with the homeless count. That would be a big, big help to the homeless coalition, especially the Salvation Army.
And you probably also use radios or cell phones.
Yes, we are also going to be asking some certain cell phone companies to provide radios or cell phones for
Oh, that'd be great. I know Guam Cell is always willing to
Yes.
participate in your efforts, so
Yes.
make sure you hit them up. Anything you'd like to add, Gail?
No, I would just like to thank everybody for their hard work. We have a lot of government agencies as well as nonprofit and private organizations working very closely with us and pulling everything together, and it has been a tremendous effort as we get ready and get down to the last few weeks before the count to just see everybody pull together to prepare for this.
Well, kudos to both of you and your efforts and the Salvation Army as usual. And I will be following up with other interviews to actually ensure that you guys get the word out. So keep that in mind as well. In closing, representatives of the Salvation Army continue to believe that the information collected and distributed throughout the process of conducting a homeless count is worth the massive effort. So if you're an individual or a company who would like to assist them in any way possible, please contact them at 477-3528. Again, that number is 477-3528. We'll be right back to close out the show, so stay with us.